In 1976, Franco Columbu won his first Mr. Olympia contest, and that was after Schwarzenegger retired in 1975, the competition which was filmed and featured in Pumping Iron. So naturally, Columbu was expected to enter again in 1977, but in 1977, before the Mr. Olympia contest, Columbu entered the World's Strongest Man contest and had an injury in one of the events where he was carrying a refrigerator on his back. His leg snapped and he was put out of commission. He had to go through surgery and extensive retraining of his leg to even walk again. So it wasn't until after the 1980 Mr. Olympia, which Arnold Schwarzenegger controversially won. So Franco had suggested in 1980 that he was going to compete the following year. And a lot of the competitors in the 1980 Mr. Olympia were so upset with what they believed to be an unfair ruling that they boycotted the 1981 Mr. Olympia. And that included Boyer Coe, Frank Zane, Mike Mentzer, and a few others. But some of the big names that were going to compete were Tom Platz, who just made a mind-blowing transformation from the previous year. There was also Roy Callender, Chris Dickerson, Danny Padilla, and others. In 1981, the controversy from the previous year was still fresh in people's minds, and Columbu's legs were not even remotely up to par with the other competitors. And having a competitor on stage like Tom Platz really emphasized Franco Columbu's lack of leg development. So the 1981 Mr. Olympia took place in Columbus, Ohio, was promoted by Schwarzenegger, who had won the previous year in South Africa. It was also promoted by Jim Lorimer, both of whom were friends with Franco. Here's Franco, 5'2", even though he's promoted in the magazines as 5'6", a whopping 4 inches shorter than that. On top of that, Franco Columbu, irregardless of his leg injury, was pretty bow-legged. He also had a strange deformity in his upper chest, a split that wasn't the normal split of the separation of the clavicular portion of the pectoral muscle. This was cartilage and bone related. He also had gynecomastia. That's when it was first starting to appear in the bodybuilding scene. He didn't really see it prior to that. There were factors beyond his leg injury which affected his leg development that a lot of people think were overlooked by judges who were friends of Columbu. Personally, I think Platz should have won. Maybe Platz should have been marked down because his thighs were out of proportion to the rest of his body. So maybe Padilla should have won. Do you think that Franco was the best on stage that day? Who do you think should have won?